Hey there, let me tell you about my summer. Now a few weeks ago I managed to go up to North Wales and I went up to Llangollen to visit Llanbike Fest, which is a motorcycle festival held in North/Mid Wales every year. So obviously I enjoyed a lovely ride to Llangollen, got to socialise a little bit and of course got to take out a bike. The one in particular that piqued my interest was the SV 650X. Now you won't know this, but I actually started my bike journey, that's a bit of a lame way to say it, my first bike was an SV 650. And I loved that little thing, but I wanted to see if it had changed at all. I wanted to see how much of the original bike they'd retained, turns out quite a lot, and what they'd actually managed to tweak and change on the revised version. So let's throw some stats at you. Starting with the engine, it is the same or very similar 90-degree V-twin, liquid cooled. It now makes a claimed 76 brake horsepower and 47 foot-pounds of torque, both relatively high in the rev range. But for a twin, it means that you can hold on to the revs a little bit longer. You don't necessarily need to jump through gears, which was something I always liked on my bike. Happy to say it's still there on the new one. It is still a cabled throttle. Small difference is that on the, I believe it's linked to the clutch actually more than anything else, but basically it has a low rev assist if you're using it for town, which was a bit of a failing point of mine. I wouldn't have said it was particularly suited. Got a little bit of town riding on my ride, and it did work quite nicely. Perfectly well managed. Equipment wise, let's move around to brakes. 290mm dual discs on the front and 2 piston calipers. If I was picking a corner cut, I would say the brakes are a little bit budget. Rear disc is 240mm and there's a 1 piston caliper. Moving on to suspension. This will be a short one. Non-adjustable on the front, adjustable for preload on the back. Again, something they save money on. The ride is quite stiff. I don't want to get too crass, but there's no other way of saying it. If you're a guy and you're riding this bike, you're going to squish your plums. I'm sure it's still painful if you're a lady, but yeah, speed bumps will not be your friend. That's all I'm saying. Seat height, 790mm. It's not a short bike, but if you are taller, you probably will be a little bit cramped, mainly just because of the riding position and the way that your knees are bent. As far as proportions go for the general footfall of the bike, it's not what I'd call a short wheelbase. It's pretty regular, maybe a little on the long side, and it's quite a thin bike. Stable enough, and something you can whip around quite easily, but also because of the stiffness of the suspension, because of the proportions of it, it means that you can pick a line and you can really play with that line in terms of being quite accurate with it, I think. You wouldn't change it or feel like you have to change it too frequently. Maybe I'd use the term sharp. It's a sharp ride. Fuel range, let me just check that I'm reading this right. 72.43 miles per gallon. Bullshit! Oh, sorry, it's just... You can stretch the truth a little bit, everyone does it, but that is absolute fantasy. Mine used to do about 150 miles to a full tank, and it used to get the reserve on about 120, 125 miles, and then I'd get another 20 on top of that, so still going to say between 140 and 150, and I would guess probably about the same for this one. Price, this is the big selling point really for the SV 650, £6,199 for the X, which as I say comes with the cowl, the clip-ons, the different seats and different colour. Now let me take you through a few of the flaws that I found with my bike. I already mentioned the fact that mine happened to die on me. It died because, well, the person before me didn't really take a huge amount of care with it and didn't keep track of the oil, more importantly. Now with a twin and with this particular setup for a twin, one of the cylinders can go without oil if you're not keeping track of it, if you don't keep it well serviced and well maintained. Like I say, previous owner to mine didn't, so one of these cylinders just completely died. Not uncommon either, so be aware of that. But bear in mind, even though that was my first bike, and even though it died a death on me and cost me a lot to fix or to change at the time, I still think fondly of my SV 650. Now it takes a special bike for me to still look back and remember fondly having been burnt by it. The big selling point to the SV 650, besides the fact that it's a little bit cheaper than some of its competition, is the fact that it's quite a versatile machine and it appeals to a few different markets. If you've just passed your test and you're looking for your first bike, this is a great choice. As I say, the fact that it is quite cheap is a massive benefit. The parts on it may be basic, but it has all that you need. And when you drop it, and you will drop it. You won't be too broken up about it because, again, it's relatively cheap, and it's relatively cheap to fix. For more advanced riders out there who maybe have another bike and they're just looking for a cheap little plaything, a bike that they are slightly better than and can feel more in control of, this would be appealing as well. It's a nice little second bike. A lot of people use it as a track bike as well. For anyone who hasn't biked for a while and wants to get back into it, again, it's a nice safe entry level. It's also a name that people know, and it's something that you could probably quite easily sell afterwards as well. Glad to say then that the SV650 was everything I was expecting. It's exactly like the bike I passed on. In fact, because it was the X and it had the clip-ons, that was somewhat reminiscent of the riding style of my old bike as well. It was a nice little trip down memory lane. So the big question on all of your lips, I'm sure, is would I buy the SV650X? And the answer is unflinchingly no. No, I would not. I'd get the SV650 and save £500. If you're dead set on clip-ons, fine. You can find them for under about £100, and then you still save £400. Having lived with my old SV650, I would probably go for the standard bars rather than going for those clip-ons anyway. Because if you use it in a town, you're stopping at traffic lights, or even if you use it in the country and you have to stop too frequently or go slowly too frequently, you're gonna start to wake. You're either gonna have to put it into your legs, or when your legs get tired, and they will, you'll have to stick it in your arms like you're sat doing a press-up. Any which way you paint it, this is a cracking little bike and a brilliant little starter bike. If you are in the UK and you're looking for your first bike and maybe you only have an A2 license, happy to report, as with a lot of those smaller bikes nowadays, you can get this restricted to A2 and then obviously take off the restrictors at a later stage. Save yourself some money, buy something cheap, you won't worry about it, and that just means that you'll enjoy it just a little bit more. Thank you very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, then there is a button down there saying subscribe. Feel free to click on it. If you don't, I won't take it as a personal offence. It's fine, I'll get over it. If you do want to subscribe, then I will see you in the very next video. Catch you soon, bye.